Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live 888-994-4995 Studio A. And now onto the show. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. We're running a few minutes late. We had technical difficulties. Oh, I can't even say that. However, I don't think we're the only people. There's a lot going on today with Amazon, with Google. So if you're there, everybody, hi, and welcome to my show. I have two amazing guests today, Dawn and Steve. So we have some questions. I think we're going to talk about spiritual awakenings. To me, this is really interesting because I had no idea what happened to me about 22 years ago. I was getting all sorts of crazy things happening, but I have learned a lot over the years. And what I was actually having was a spiritual awakening, which doesn't happen all at once. It takes time. So we're going to go and we're going to discuss that subject. So anybody that would call in at 888-994-4995. Happy to talk to you and answer questions that you may have if you found something strange or something that just you can't quite understand. I'm here to give the answers to that from my guides. It's not me. Just to actually explain a little, which I thought about when you said to have a nice intro today. What actually happens to me, I'm going to say a semi-trance. I don't go as some people do and they kind of check out completely. I think I'm still here because I'm obviously able to talk to you and answer questions. I have no idea in advance, and this is a good way to explain it because Dawn, you just said talk about something, but I don't prepare for my show, and as you know, at all. Now, talking to my co-host, and the first thing is saying, but luckily they know me after the last 3 years, I don't prepare myself. Your face, but you know that I don't. So I rely completely on what I'm guided to say. So, I mean, I don't even remember sometimes what I've talked about after my show. I have to watch my own recording. So here we are, and we're ready to start the show.
So you said it took you a while to realize what was happening to you. Is that what happens with most people? Eventually they have this moment where it all clicks in?
Yeah, actually, I like that question because it's important to explain this. No, I'm still learning. So my spiritual awakening is still happening, and I have things all the time happening, and I understand. Let's say I'm here with my understanding, but it expands tremendously. And even after 22 years, I'm learning. I rely on my guides because I am channeling to give me the answers. But myself, absolutely, I'm learning. I know, I remember part of what I talk about, but it doesn't happen all at once. People think suddenly that magic moment you understand everything. No, as far as I know, I have never heard anybody say that they suddenly got it all. We're on a journey. It takes time. But the main thing, I'm sorry, just in answer to follow up with that, the main thing is if you understand something's happened to you and you continue now to have all the things that have been happening before, you're going to look at them a little differently, and you're not going to have it and call it coincidence. It's synchronicity.
And I've watched you have a thirst for more knowledge and more understanding of what's going on with you. And could you explain how that happens?
Well, actually, the last 4 or 5 days, I've felt, and I've talked to a few people about this, that I've even gained more knowing. I don't call it knowledge. Alda always used to say to me, it's a knowing inside of you. Because I watch, and I've mentioned many times Gaia, because I think I absolutely recommend that channel, to get to subscribe to it. Or you can go to YouTube, and that you don't have to necessarily, I believe you have to subscribe, but you can get a lot of their programs on there. And I was listening so much. I never used to do this because what I talk about, I don't know what I'm talking about. So there's no way, only by me understanding more can I validate some of the things that I'm even saying. So I never listened to other people. I didn't know what they were talking about. Well, the last 4 or 5 days, I've been listening to Gaia, and I'm hearing so much about vibration dimensions, and just the synchronicities that go with that and how we're able to see deeper. So this was very much on my mind, going to a different, from 3D to 5 dimension. And every show that I was seen to be tuning into Gaia was all about what I wanted to understand more. But having said that, a lot of what I talk about, which I can talk about it, but how do you get the validation unless I'm giving a message? I'm hearing. So I'm listening to these people on Gaia for the first time, maybe, or the second, and they're saying exactly what I have said. So to me, that was my way of knowing that. How do I know this? They know the same thing. And then I turn on another station, and Gaia has many, many stations. Excuse me, this is happening. This is really weird. Excuse me. Thank you, Dawn. They're discussing also exactly what I'm actually learning myself at this point more, but they're saying the same things that I have said. So to me, this is real. This exists. I'm able to tap into something, as people are when they open up their, I'm going to say, your heart, and you open up, you'll get the answers. But the main thing, the very main thing, is believe that you can do this. Believe it, because we all can. But depending on how much you want to know is completely up to you. If you don't want to know anything, you may believe it, but you can't be bothered with it because people have such busy lives. Doesn't mean that it won't happen, these things, but you're not going to notice them as much. I think I better take my drink. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I noticed you said going from the third dimension to fifth dimension. How does one get there, and what happens in 4, which you never seem to mention?
No, because most people don't really. It's a learning from 3 to 5, but there is a 4 too, where you're planning, I think, and you're understanding more to be able to reach the 5th dimension. You don't just suddenly wake up one day and say, I'm in the 3D. It takes effort, it takes time, it takes understanding, it takes an opening within yourself. Because if you don't have that, it's not just, things will happen to you, but it's so, what I learn now is so much more deeper than what I was learning 20 years ago. But that doesn't mean that I hadn't started my awakening. You've got to truly want it. And I've learned this from the people that I meet, because I'm attracting likewise people. And they say exactly the same as me. And we can talk maybe, which I'm realizing now, time goes by fast. But it does go by fast when you're relating to somebody. I can say to friends, or even you, Dawn, oh my gosh, 20 minutes has gone by, an hour's gone by. It's something you feel. And if you're not there, you don't feel it until you get there. Does that make, I know that you're on the same wavelength as me. So you kind of, is that a good way to explain it?
But when you're there, are you always there, or can you pop in and out of the dimension?
Well, you pop in and out. But having, as you had mentioned, the 5th dimension, no, you're now on the 5th dimension. Can you come down to this dimension? But you're living in a 5th dimension world, let's say, or Earth. So to get to that point, although it really isn't a long time, but we go with time here, so it could take lifetimes to get there. But when you reincarnate, when you're on the other side, you look back, and it's really only been, in our time, no time at all. But you've got to have that, not understanding, you're not going to understand it, but you've got to have that drive, that feeling that I want this. I wanted this with all my heart when my heart opened up to 22 years ago, the things that were happening to me. I could have said, no, I'm done, I've got enough problems here, I've got to work, I've got to do this and that. Many people do, they're not ready. So when someone says, is there a quick way around this? Absolutely no, there isn't. But it happens to, well, I can't tell you, some people, I changed overnight, but I'm still learning. So in my experience, there isn't a quick way. This has taken me 22 years. However, I changed overnight. I was aware that something happened. For it to go into your consciousness, it takes effort. At least I can only really talk for me. So I don't want to say there may be people out there that have had a lot happen all at once. I did, but it's hard to take it all in. So it takes effort.
So what dimension are most people living in?
We're living in a 3-dimensional world, you know that. But we're moving into a 5D world, and this is something that I'm beginning to understand, because the Earth itself is shifting. And many people that are watching my show understand about the shift today. And when I was watching Gaia for the last 4 or 5 days, every one, and some of these shows that were recorded may have been from 2 years ago, but they were still talking about a shift, which means that Earth is shifting its consciousness, because Earth is consciousness. Earth knows what's going on. It's hard because what we don't know yet, but the Earth knows, as many other people on other planets know. So we're shifting from 3 to 5D.
Which means what?
It means that, well, actually, this is really a little complicated, but I'm truly beginning to understand it. If we're in a 3D world, everybody here is in a third dimension, but you hear of people, you hear of miracles. I can see more sometimes, not all the time, because I've shifted my energy up to a higher dimension, which would then take me, I say, from 4th to 5th. So even during my show, I'm in 5D, I'm in 5th dimension, because I see and hear. But if I bring my energy down, I'm back to just being Sally. I'm going to call myself Zena for the 5th dimension, actually, and Sally for the 3rd. So Sally is not looking for it, but because I've trained myself and I'm understanding so much more, I'm able to, right now, I'm in 5 dimension and I can see or hear many things. So I'm shifting with the Earth, as many people today are doing. The ones that don't are going to stay where they are. I've learned a little bit more, but I'm not going to bring up what I've learned with what's going to happen to Earth, because the understanding, I'm not here to scare people, and it's not scary. But if I say it, you may not completely understand it, so I've got to do it the way that I know how to explain this. But right now, we're in a 3-dimensional world. We're shifting. We've been here. If people, because I'm going into planet systems, we're on a comparatively very new planet, which could be thousands and thousands of years. I today believe that there are many, many star systems, many planets out there. I totally believe that today. I don't expect everybody to, although my viewers probably do believe this. So there are many planets that are 4, 5 dimensions, 6, 7, and 8 dimension. This is 3rd. It's shifting to the 5th. Well, I'm going to say what I'm understanding, okay? From my understanding and from what I hear and what I heard the other day, is that Earth will go into 5D. It's the 3rd time that this Earth has tried this. It's like it's been an experiment, actually. So it's shifting, and this time it's going to make it. But not everybody that's in 5D or ready to go there is going to go with this Earth. However, do not get scared, because there are other planets that are still in 3D. So when you reincarnate, if you have, this is complicated, and I wasn't going to bring it up on my show because I might even scare my viewers, I don't know. But even though we're going to go with Earth, the ones that don't will find a planet which could be very similar to this. We won't even know, that's still in 3D. So in order for, I think I'm going too far with this. Maybe I'll do it another day, because it's complicated, and it's, even though they're helping me with this, it's hard to bring up so that people can understand it.
Well, when you're in 5D right now,
Right.
what do you hear? Do you hear voices?
Yes.
Do you see messages?
I'm able to do this because I'm in 5D. I don't, just now I got stuck, and I think I pulled, that's a very good example of me pulling myself back.
To
Although
Sally.
they're explaining, Zena came back to Sally, and that's a good way to present this, because it's complicated, and if I bring my own mind into it, which I was trying to explain it correctly, Zena disappears, because Zena's still on 5D dimension. When I get a question from you or from you, Steve, I'll bring myself back into Zena again, which I'm doing right now. You've heard everybody again, my voice is going, but that's all right.
Just going to take a sip of water and we're going to keep going.
I'm all right.
Steve, do you see it or feel or hear in 5D?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm still my voice is going. I'm still learning every day about the dimensions, and I'm still having trouble figuring out what the 4th one is. We keep on going from 3rd to 5th, and
Is there a 4th?
Yes, there is a fourth.
but what Sally has explained to me is 4th is where we're learning.
Well, if we're ready, I'm going to put it the way that they're telling me. Just tell them, then you'll be ready if you're passing all the things on 4th dimension and you're getting to that point, because we have to let go of a lot of our 3D, which is a very low vibrational energy, to get into, even to get to be at that level of 5 dimension, to stay there. I'm in and out because I haven't finished. I haven't finished here yet. I intend to, but there's lots and lots of things that we learn here that won't let us into the 5D dimension. Doesn't mean that anything is different here. I'm there, but everything looks the same to everybody. It's just that I've raised my vibration so I can hear what my guides are showing me and telling me. The synchronicities become more. You have things happen that isn't coincidence. You realize it's synchronicity. You attract the people on that level. We've seen it time and time again here in the studio because we're sitting here on a 5 dimension. We could even, because we've never really asked people around here, but I could see someone come in, and you could, and if you've reached that point, anybody on the 5 dimension will see them. Someone might not even know they're in the studio. That's how it works.
And to further answer your question, I believe there are times when I'm operating in the 5th dimension, when Sally and I are so on the same plane that we read each other's minds and have deep, meaningful conversations. And then there are other times I may slip back to 3rd.
Well, we all do. I do. I slip back to 3rd many, many times, and
Well,
you
that
know the
makes me feel
difference. You've seen me. But the thing is, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to try because I know better than to fall back to where I have been. So it's all truthfully about unconditional love. And that's very, very important because it comes from your heart. Not, we think all this comes from our brain, but the true who we really are is from our heart, which is completely giving love. But it's not always love the way we think it is. It's unconditional love. So when you can actually reach that stage and things don't bother you as much and you just, okay, it's hard. It's very hard to get to this point. But the fact that I'm understanding this more, and hopefully by me talking about it, other people will too, you'll see a whole difference in your life. Everything changes.
Interesting. All right, so we've got questions that people have written in on Psychic Awakening. Emily from Colorado asked, when your psychic abilities first awaken, does it feel like anxiety or overthinking? And how do you tell the difference?
That's a great question too, actually, because yes, well, in my case, I changed. But yes, there had to have been, I can't really remember completely now, there was anxiety because suddenly I'm not interested in some of the things that I used to be interested in. I'm suddenly becoming an artist. However, which I had said before, it doesn't happen all at once. Even today, I see and hear things that I didn't even know that unless it happens, when you start to understand that things are changing around you, that you're becoming more conscious of things. Even the colors to me look different on the flowers, on the trees. Everything seemed brighter. It's subtle changes and it continues, but once that starts to happen, go with it. Just believe that something different is happening to you. That's basically my advice.
So when you're in front of a canvas, speaking about your art, where do you go mentally?
I go to the 5 dimension, 5D, because I'm not aware that I was even painting, and I don't know what I've painted until I've finished. Now, that's actually another good question, because it's only recently, since I've understood more, that I realized that I wasn't completely there. I used to paint for hours, and Aldo knew, who today people that watch my show is aware of Aldo, he would knock on my door and say, eat, it's lunchtime. Although I was there, I didn't even know, but I would look at my art and have no idea what I'd even painted. So it's subtle, but it's the beginning. That was Emily, right?
That was Emily
Thank
from
you.
Colorado. And then she says, what are some grounding techniques to calm my mind so I can actually trust what I'm feeling?
Okay, well, if you meditate, meditating is different for everybody, but if you just step back from everything that's going on and go, if you can, within yourself and even think about what the anxiety is. Just think to yourself, why did I get so upset? You will get your answers. It does happen. We can't help it. We're still human in a human world. True. So there is anxiety, absolutely, to this. There's a lot of, the other one was, what she said was?
About grounding.
And you can ground yourself. There's many ways to ground yourself.
Hug a tree.
And I was just going to say, hug a tree. I was going to say, naturally, go on to. A lot of people say, take your shoes off and go and stand on the ground, on the grass. Anything, if you believe, it's a game with your belief system. If you believe that it's going to help you, whatever you do, however you meditate, if you truly believe it's going to happen anyway, you can ground yourself. We have techniques to do that, but you can just sit here and say, I'm grounding myself right now, and it'll work.
All right. Marcus in New York wants to know, is it normal to suddenly feel overwhelmed by other people's emotions without knowing why?
100%. Dawn and I can relate to that because we're both empaths, and this usually goes with it's like something that happens, I think, along with all the psychic abilities. And you can very often suddenly say, I'm so angry. Why am I so angry? It isn't you. You're feeling somebody else's emotion. You could suddenly even laugh. So it's not always a negative feeling, and say, why am I so happy? I mean, never complain about being happy, but it could be that you walked into a room and you're feeling those emotions. As an empath, you try to understand what is happening to you, because if you don't know you're an empath, you don't even know how to study what happens to an empath. But an empath takes on people's vibrational energy, and it can be very damaging sometimes, because if you don't understand it, you're feeling it, you don't know why you're feeling it, you really don't know.
But that could be people in the physical world and in the spiritual world. I remember going on vacation before I knew anything about what I feel, and I took in some sort of entity because there was nobody else around.
Right.
It was an old town in Canada, and it made me laugh, it made me funky, it made me silly, it made me tired. It was all of these things. I didn't know what it was.
Were you aware you were an empath at that point, or you didn't know?
I had no idea.
That's when it can become very scary, because you don't know. I know as a child, and I had a stepbrother, but my bedroom was my own bedroom, and there were a few people, my parents and my stepbrother, that could have come in my bedroom to get something there or whatever, but it was unusual for them because it was my room. However, if anybody, or even someone to come to clean, like a cleaner, I would walk into my room. Everything was exactly how I had left it, yet I knew someone had been there. I didn't know who it was, but I knew someone had been into my bedroom, and nothing had moved, nothing.
Interesting. And so then he follows up and says, how do you feel about emotional boundaries, setting those as an empath without shutting people down?
It's very, very important.
But how do you do that without being harsh?
Well, you can do it in a nicer kind of way. But my advice is, if you're really feeling that, you need to, even Aldo did this when he was with me at that time. If we felt a friction of some kind, he'd get up and he'd absolutely leave the room. What happened to me as being an empath too, but I truly didn't understand it. I used to think, why is he getting up? I'm having a conversation with him. So the more I was getting aggravated, the more that he was getting aggravated. However, he knew exactly how to overcome that. So it only took him a couple of minutes. And he was fine. Me, I couldn't eat my dinner. I couldn't do anything. But as I but it was a lesson for me, because as I began to understand that, don't just try to leave everything, just actually meditate within yourself again. This too shall pass. I don't want that energy. You can also push it away, because it can come from people not necessarily in our own surroundings. It comes from outside, as you said, with a spirit, or spirit can do that. So obviously, as a human, other humans can send you that energy too. It's like people used to talk about witchcraft.
Right.
Today, I understand witchcraft. I mean, it happens. They cast spells. Yes, 100%. I believe that can happen.
So what you said a second ago, you can push it away. Is it possible to turn off your empathic self?
No, it is never possible, because once you're an empath, you're an empath. But if I feel that bad energy coming to me, I don't have to know where it's coming from. And I feel it. You feel it. Just say stop. And also, it got me thinking, it may not be the best thing, but if someone, you don't have to know who it is, it doesn't matter. Send it back. But the best thing is to send it back with love. That I'm understanding, because you can. It's still going to affect who's sending it to you. But if it's something really bad and you don't know, just go like that and say, I send it back with my highest whatever it is. That I'm learning to do. And it does dissipate. It dissipates. Absolutely.
Then I think, why do we have to be kind if people's energies are making us feel funky? We should be able to just get up and walk out of a room.
Well, yeah, and I agree
Like
with you.
Al did, we don't, but
Yeah.
we should be able to.
Well, it's hard because you have to understand it. And I also thought, well, if someone is sending me bad energy, and I used to think this a lot, then I don't need to know who it is. But if they're wishing me, I wish the same. But it's not necessarily good for my own growth. And that I'm understanding too, because I have to overcome all the badness in this world as best I can without anger, because there's a lot of really unhappy, not going to say bad people, unhappy, depressed people. I don't want to be unhappy and depressed. I've had my share of that. So I will send it back. But the best way that I know how, we all have it. People will think of someone and say, oh, I don't like that person. If you're an empath, guess what? And you know this too, Dawn, you're going to feel that somewhere.
Sure.
You don't have to know where it's coming from, but you know it's happening.
All right, you want to take a commercial break before we go on to the next question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a voice now.
Tell them.
Okay. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was on the fifth dimension. I will be back.
So more to come on the other side of this commercial break. You can also find Sally's book at Amazon and Author House. You can scan the QR code at the bottom of the screen. Take you right there, and always participate. Write in, call me Zena on Facebook and YouTube, or give us a call right here at the studio at 888-994-4995 Studio A. And Sally will be right back.
A True Story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and a grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail on how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book at authorhouse and amazon.com, or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybernard.com. Now back to the show. Hi. Continuation from a few minutes ago. Questions?
The reason that I asked you, can you ever turn off your empathic self, is, as you know, I'll have some aches and pains from time to time, and you automatically receive those from me, and I say, stop. And
Can't.
because I don't want you to hurt.
Well, it's going to happen. I can't do anything about it, Steve. Do I want to necessarily have had this all happen to me with all this? But I don't. That's why it's so important for not just myself, for anybody that's empathic, to be in a positive environment, because you're going to get the negative. I'm not saying it's being negative because you're not feeling good, but for anybody, I happen to actually get what you're getting. It doesn't turn into an illness, because I try very hard not to be believing. You know, I'm a great believer, and we can heal ourselves. If someone isn't, it can turn into some sort of an illness. So it's really important for people that are empathic, and you know this, Dawn, too, so back me up on this a little, to just say or validate it, that it's very important. Can we always be in a positive environment? No. And we also learn from negativity, but we're going to feel it. We're any empath that's listening in, call in and tell me. You know, and you know who you are if you're aware of it, how you feel other people's emotions. It's sometimes not fun at all.
You know, people who say they want vision, they tell me be careful what you wish for, because sometimes you see and you feel things that you would not have if you didn't open that up. So it's
Exactly.
not always rainbows and unicorns when you have vision. It's different feelings, it's different things you see in people, it's different expectations you have that don't get met.
Right.
It's not always good.
It's not good. It's good that it's happening, and it's good we understand.
But what you
you've
see
gotta go
isn't
through
always
it all.
positive.
No,
You see the
because
good
you've
and the
gotta
bad.
get out of that, right? And the only way we're going to learn is a lot. If it catches your attention through negativity, you can move on eventually from that. But it's like anything, you have to study it first before you can get to the next level. So when we're studying basically life itself here on Earth in the 3D, it's not easy. This is a very, very difficult planet. Very, very difficult.
Sally, we have a gentleman, Ed, sitting here in the studio, and I believe he had a question for you.
Yes,
Hi,
thank
Ed.
you. Hi. No, I caught a little bit of your conversation about different planes of existence, different dimensions of
Right.
existence. And it's occurred to me, and it's probably something that I read or I listened to at one time, but that perhaps, different dimensions existing in the same space is an explanation for what people of faith consider, afterlife.
Yes,
Interesting.
that's a good question, actually, and there's probably a lot of answers to it depending where people are in their own thinking right now. But that's interesting because, yes, anything can shift your mind. If you want to, you believe that belief is the most important. It doesn't matter what you believe, but just believe that there's something more in this world than what we are just sitting here. There's more going on. So people of faith are lifting their vibrational energy because they're thinking of whatever their religion is, which is a belief, which is good because you can raise your vibrational up. If people are just, even if they say they're atheist, well, it's a little harder, but I'm not knocking atheists too. Everybody has their belief system. But as long as you believe something, that there's something, because if you're an atheist, you believe there isn't, whatever it is. But to get back to what I'm trying to say is that as long as you believe, and it doesn't matter, we're all in this, I'm going to say, mess right now together. So to have faith in something is where it's at, because it will start you go deeper into your consciousness. You expand your consciousness outwards. That's very important, which lifts your vibrational energy that I was talking about, the 3D to the 5D. So you believing there's something else, and things happen. I've said on my show, pray for world peace, because that energy of everybody, as long as they believe that they're praying to something, that energy will go out into the world. And we need that desperately right now.
Indeed.
Desperately. So it doesn't matter if you're religious, if you're spiritual, what religion you are, what color you are, it makes no difference. The common denominator here is to believe that there's something greater than ourselves.
When I've had discussions with very intelligent people who are atheists, and it seems to me that they can't get past two metrics: time and space. And when they think about the vastness of the universe and the infinity of time, it's hard for them to accept a higher power. And to me, if you believe that there can be a different dimension of existence, then that overcomes that obstacle.
Perfectly said, because that is so true. You don't even have to understand. You don't have to understand. But
Right.
just open yourself up to there's something. A lot of people get this, and even people that may have addictions, when they reach their rock bottom and they can't go anywhere else, they say, help me. It doesn't matter who they're saying it to, but they'll get the help if they're open to it. It's there for all of us. No matter what you believe, whatever it is, there is help. And the more you begin to understand that, the more your mind will open up to you're expanding that consciousness out of ourselves. It's going further and further out. In my belief, in my world, and I've met many people that that I talk to that say the same thing. We have guides, we have angels, we have all sorts of things around us. Religion will tell you that. So it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's something right now to start this journey.
Well, when I've read stories about academics, professional people, and very intelligent people that converted from atheists to having some form of a faith in a higher power, it seems to me that it's usually been that they've been able to accept a way to overcome that problem with time and space.
I agree, because my belief system that on another, here on Earth and wherever planet you are, there is time and there's space. But when we're in wherever we are, I won't go into that whole thing, but there is no time. I truly believe that, and I hear other people when I listen to them over the years, they say we manufacture time. That's very difficult to comprehend, but it's not even to do with intelligence. Scientists today, in our programs that I listen to, many scientists are coming on and explaining what's happening to them. Well, years ago, because if you say you're a scientist, you have to see it kind of to believe it, but so many people today are changing their thought process. So many people are coming out with what's happening to them, and they have other people to talk to, maybe on the same level that they are, because that's where they're relating to other people, and what they will say the same things. You know what, I didn't know that could happen. And then they're gradually opening up. And that's basically what my program is, people that know me, is about, to try and tell people. It's a positive program to tell people there is more. I have followers that listen to me every week, so they're hopefully into this understanding. And through their understanding, someone else, they're opening the door for somebody else to see it. It's like a dominoes effect. To just open up in the very beginning and say, no matter who you're talking to, it doesn't matter. I believe that there is something else. Question it. Questions are I work with questions. So questions are very important. If you're talking to yourself, doesn't matter today because people think they're on the phone. So just talk to yourself. You could be in the car and talk. You know, years ago, I'm sure people looked at me like I was crazy if I was having a conversation, but we've got it easier today now with that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I've learned that although it's important to believe in a higher power, that higher power doesn't necessarily have to be a supreme being. My higher power could be that painting on the wall, as long as I fervently believe that that's my higher power. I'm not saying that painting is my higher power, but it doesn't have to be a supreme being.
Well, I guess in the beginning mine's were, because I was painting and I'm going, how am I doing this? But I'm painting. I didn't know. I did know, but that's another show that I forget, because we come in with very little memory of what I'm talking about. And the only way that I can basically understand what's happening to me, because my guide unfortunately was with me for 19 years. He knew me from another lifetime, but he's left. But I know that a lot of what I say now, I'm listening to programs that are similar to my show, and they're talking the same way as me. I haven't met these people, so I'm not, it's not me. And it's not all about me. It's about showing anybody can do this. Anybody, if they want to, and they believe it.
Well, thank you very much for your time and your
Thank you.
thoughts.
You ready for another question?
Yes, I am.
All right. Lisa from Florida says, can a psychic awakening be triggered by a major life event like loss, trauma, or even falling in love?
I totally agree that it can, yes.
Is
I
that
think
kind
it
of
can.
how you had yours?
Well, it can also be through trauma, because if you have something really bad happen, people leave their bodies, and that's been proven today by people that don't even understand it. It brings you to another place. You can be extremely happy, or you can be very sad. I believe, and I'm not saying you have to have a tragedy of any kind to get to this, but it triggers something inside of you, like you can't cope anymore. When you reach that point, and people do understand this today because they've reached that point and they've suddenly had what they will call I believe in the 12 steps of recovery, the last step is a spiritual awakening. But it doesn't matter, you can't get it all at once, but you've woken up to something that is greater than yourself, greater than what this world will tell you in the beginning.
It can be triggered. Okay. And then why do spiritual awakenings often appear during emotional chaos or life transitions?
Yes, well, that's really basically the answer, because you're so like at a breaking point in your life, and a lot do. Many people that talk as I'm talking now, I mean, my life has certainly not been all up there with
Right.
everything, but I believe that I went through a lot of the things that have happened to me for reasons, for me to understand more, for me to have something to cry out to help me, because I have done that, and that's years ago. But my life was changing. It didn't change gradually. But the more I said, well, I just finding that $5 or $20 bill, just silly, well, not silly, it was a miracle, but just these things happen to you, it begins to open your mind a little bit more.
Okay. Jasmine in California writes, I've started having wild, vivid dreams that come true the next day. Is that part of awakening or something else?
Well, it's an awakening because you're having some sort of a premonition. And even if it's not the next day, you may find that you're having dreams that could be something that will happen a year from now. We do get premonitions. I've had premonitions. I've told people and it's happened.
And then they ask about a psychic dream versus a regular dream, but I think you've talked about
we
that a
talked
lot.
about that, yeah.
Daniel from Texas, does everyone experience signs like ringing in the ears, deja vu, and energy tingles, or is that just spiritual social media hype?
No, it's not social media hype. It can happen. In fact, I've been telling you recently, I have this ringing in my ears sometimes. I thought it was talking to Steve the other day. And I said, there's something wrong with your phone. But it continued and it continues. We get little signs because our body is tuning into something differently. And as that happens, that's the time to ground yourself. That we were talking, I believe, in the beginning of these questions. It happens. It is. You think it's not normal, but it is during this awakening process.
All right, Daniel from Texas. A lot of from Texas, it seems.
Yeah.
Does everyone experience we just read that one. Sophia, New Jersey. What does a psychic awakening feel like physically? And are body manifestations and sensations normal?
It is to the awakening, yes. I mean, go see a doctor if you feel there's something different, obviously. But if you suddenly come on with these little things like ringing in the ears, or maybe you could see an outline of something, I suggest maybe not necessarily run to the psychiatrist right away, but talk to other people that maybe be able to relate to that. But anything that is really abnormal, I'm not telling you not to go to doctors or professionals, absolutely go to a professional. But if you just think that it could be something else. That's the best way to say. Maybe it is something else, and then you'll see more and more. And more will happen to you to let you know that it's something a little different than an illness.
And is there a sliding scale of sometimes you may feel the energy, sometimes you may see it, you may have a dream? Not everyone has everything.
No, right. So yes, because it comes in degrees, basically. It's a degree. And when you otherwise we would go crazy with this. I had somebody to guide me through this whole process, and I will always be grateful for him and what he did for me. But we don't always have, we have, but we don't always see them. I was able to have Aldo in my life in physicality, but we don't always. Just know that someone is guiding through this process for you. And then talk to other people. Find other people that are relating to what you're saying, and they'll say, like on the show here now, people listening, if you can relate to some of this, or a friend has told you, call them up now. Actually tell them to watch the show here. That will explain a little bit, hopefully.
This is a good one. Aiden from Ohio. Why do I feel disconnected from friends I used to relate to? Is spiritual awakening supposed to feel lonely?
Beautiful question, because many, many people tell me this, and including myself. When I changed, I'm different in so many ways. So the people that I had in my life prior to this happening, I couldn't relate to anymore. You become deeper immersed in everything. Deeper, well, I can't say meaningful, because I guess every conversation is meaningful, but it's more of, you want to hear more, you want to understand more. So the people that you may have been friendly with before this happened, or even during the happening, they drift out of your life, because there's nothing really. To me, I can talk for hours, as you very well know, Dawn, about all of this. I love it and I have met many of my good friends, all believe the same way that I do. I didn't suddenly say I was at a meeting, or a spiritual meeting or something, hey, I want to be your friend because you understand. I've met these people purely by being here or being out and bumping into somebody, because we're attracting those people. It's hard. Life is not that easy when this happens, because you are losing a lot of interest in things that other people may be interested in, and you're not. And you say to yourself, well, I'm not. Call a friend. Call someone that understands you. Call another empath. They'll understand exactly where you're coming from.
And how about you, Steve? Did you have a spiritual awakening more when you lost your son, or more when you got back with Sally?
I believe all of my spiritual awakenings have come in the last 3 or 4 years since we're together. A wonderful thing happened. We were away, and we both woke up at the same time.
Yeah.
About 3 o'clock in the morning, and as we were drifting back to sleep, we both saw the same thing. We both saw a dark sky with multiple openings in the sky with lights coming through it, and I mentioned to Sally, and she was having the same exact vision. So
Yeah.
it's talking about having a mutual connection. That was amazing.
You know, the three of you, Ed, and Sally, have unfortunately a mutual connection of all losing a child. And I know Sally will say that is no coincidence, but perhaps there is a greater meaning that you all sit here today.
Well, yes, and shortly after I lost my daughter, when I first came into the studio here, I was meeting, unfortunately, a lot of people that were having lost a child. And it's like they kind of get together, and say, well, because they're here, they never leave us. Love never leaves us. And
I guess it can either open up your faith or it shuts down your faith. But it seems like for Ed, it's opened you up, and I know you both have.
Well, I know obviously my daughter was going to pass away, but I had that understanding, and I was with her through hospice, through everything. I don't often cry about this because I believe she's in a much better place. Excuse me, this is unusual. But I was there watching her, through this whole thing because she had cancer that was inoperable at that point. But it showed me that there was so much more going on just watching her. She never complained. She would be laying there, and she had the faith, I think, to know that she was going somewhere special. And to watch someone, especially me with my personality, I can't watch anybody if they hurt their hand. To watch her go through that process, it's not something I would have readily chosen to do, of course not. But you see so much more, you understand deeper at this point because you want to believe there's somewhere else. That's what I think I want to say to people that have lost a child, or it doesn't have to necessarily be a child, but anybody they've lost that they've loved, they are with you. And you can open up, I'm not going to say a little easier, but you want to hear from them. So you do everything you can to say, give me a sign. So even if you don't really understand this, you are talking, because I'm sure a lot of people will look at a picture of a loved one that passed. Give me a message. Well, open up, because those messages are there. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess.
This past week was a very emotional week for me. It was both what would have been my son's 53rd birthday and the 11th anniversary of his passing. So it was kind of emotional week. But you never forget, but it does get a little better over time. But
Easier.
It never goes away.
The pain never goes away.
It never does, but that goes with not just a child, a loved one. I mean, couples that have been together maybe 50, 60 years, but something strange sometimes happens there. You saw it with my niece's parents, right? We went to visit them in Michigan, and shortly after, this was my ex-sister-in-law, she passed away. She was nearly 90. I mean, these were old, but they'd been married many, many years. A year later, he died. He didn't want to go on without. He was talking to her the whole time. My niece was saying she'd wake up because she was in the house with him. He doesn't stop talking to Mom. Well, I knew it was going to be soon that he would go. So we don't lose love. Love is there. This is what we are. And they'll always be with you. Just call out, and even if they can't, you may not understand how they're giving you signs, look for the signs. They will be there.
All right. I lost track where we are. Rachel in Arizona, can being around certain people drain your energy more after an awakening, and how do you protect yourself?
Well, yes, because you're aware that something is draining your energy.
True.
And this is 100% true, because people sap your energy. They can take it out of you. So the last part of that I was going to answer, I'm sorry.
How do you protect yourself?
You protect yourself. However you feel that and Aldo used to tell me, just imagine that there's a light around you. There's a shield there. And if you believe that, you are doing that. So it's the best way to protect yourself. In fact, even with my show here, I should actually sometimes even light a candle, because I truly believe in this. So you can. Energy is being thrown at you. everybody gets something. You can have a conversation with somebody and they disagree with you. That's a form of negativity, because you're then maybe going into escalated into something deeper. So, you know, I'm not going, just go around and know you're protected. I feel I'm 100% protected, and my thoughts are not just with my guides, because Aldo was my guide, but I feel that he's certainly my guide here now. He shows me signs all the time, though he's passed.
Carlos from Illinois, how do you know if you're really awakening spiritually versus just going through a mental or emotional phase?
Well, I have to interrupt you right there. Guess what Aldo's brother's name is? Carlos. And he's still around.
Oh, wow. Do you ever talk to him?
I speak to his sister-in-law. She had birthdays. I gave her a message many years ago, although Aldo was there to give her what she wanted, and she never forgot, because it was from her, I don't know if she listens to the show, but from her mother. And it was so accurate that she just 100% believed in anything I said. But Carlos was his brother's name.
Interesting.
So let me hear again, I'm sorry.
How do you know if you're really awakening spiritually versus just going through a mental or emotional phase?
Well, that's why I say always, if you really think it's beyond what you know, that you even if you feel that you can't cope, no matter whether it's spiritually or not, I would never tell people not to go and talk to someone about it. Because if it's bothering you that much, absolutely. If it's a doctor, it's a doctor. If it's someone psychic and it's helping you, then you know that too. But that's hard for me. I don't want to lead anybody into the wrong direction here.
All right, the last one, we may as well tackle it. Once, Vanessa in Nevada, once you awaken, do psychic abilities continue to grow, or can they fade if you ignore them? That's a good one.
There's a yes and no to that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. If you have an interest in this, you have to continue. This is work. They will grow and grow and grow. If you don't do anything about it, oh yeah, I believe that this happened to me, that happened to me, but you don't look further. It's a study thing. Really, if you study it and talk to other people, it doesn't fade, but you don't see it anymore. Because we all have this innate in us to be psychic, but you have to expand your consciousness. I've done many, many things to help me through this. Because Aldo isn't here. I had Aldo, and I was in luxury there, because anything that I wanted to know, he was able to answer, but he passed. So I said, help me now, and tell me what programs to watch on television. Well, the last 5 days, he certainly told me what to watch. It was amazing.
Incredible.
But you have to work at it. You really do have to believe and work at it.
So before we wrap up, Steve, do you have any other questions you want to ask Sally?
Where do you want to have dinner?
I just have to ask you, we have a big event tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. We'll be there.
What do you think? How's it going to go?
I feel that it's going to go amazing. The last one here went amazing.
Yes.
I mean, they couldn't even stand in the studio and in the other rooms. They had to go out into the parking lot.
That is true.
And people had to leave because they couldn't park their car. So how do you think tomorrow's going to be? It's in a restaurant, right?
It is in a restaurant. It's a Crazy Uncle Mike's.
So by all means, yeah, if there's anybody here, I will be there. So if you're watching the program, Dawn's going to tell you where it is.
Come on out and see Sally tomorrow. We're going to be at Crazy Uncle Mike's from 5 to 7:30. Tickets are $33. Includes a drink, a light bite, a raffle ticket, and of course, Crazy Uncle Mike's is open to anything else you would want to purchase.
And I'll be there to have a conversation with you. Want to talk to me? Okay?
And Sally will be there with so much great insight for so many people.
Yeah, great.
And I think for me, I know if I'm trying to connect, even if I don't know I'm connecting, I'm always talking to the other side, and then a song will come on, and it's that song you validated for me that day. And yesterday I heard it again, and it makes you tear a little bit because you know they're there,
Yeah,
but you know it's always well needed. I know you hear Sweet Caroline a lot.
I hadn't heard for a little while, but I've just been talking about my daughter. Her name was Caroline, Louise Caroline, and we turned the radio on, and there was Sweet Caroline again on the radio.
Is there a song that you hear about your son?
No.
At least not that you know yet.
Not that I figured out yet.
Okay. So check out Sally's book. You can find it again at Author House. You can scan the QR code or Amazon.com. It's called Call Me Zena. You've got a movie coming out, some clothing on your website. Still a lot of good things happening,
And
Sally.
we're continuing with the show.
And continue with the
Tune in
show.
next week.
Every week. All right.
And
Say
maybe
goodbye.
I'll see you tomorrow at Uncle Mike's, right? Yep. Bye-bye. Watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.